So we live together.
Yep.
We watch football together.
Yep.
We talk about football together.
Yep.
Why don't we just start a podcast?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yes, people, welcome back to the eye test. It's myself, CultureCams, of course, joined with Lyés Bouzidi, and we are here again. As you say, you guys want us here every single week, so we are here consistent. Make sure you guys as well go and support BR Football, where all the clips of this episode and other things will be on there as well. Go check out our Edison interview, Jack Grealish one as well. Those clips have been dropping as well. But big shout out to BR for powering this podcast. Lyés, how are you, man?
Little BR hoodie.
Oh, yeah.
Promoting
BR
football.
I'm officially a BR member.
Stamped.
What's that behind you,
I got
too?
the cute little scarf, man.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe as well.
Yeah.
Follow my personals. Follow Lyés' other channel and all that good stuff. But yeah, let me get into it. First and foremost, how are you?
I'm okay, man. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Champions League this week. I'm really excited for that. By the time this drops, it should be before the game tonight. But just in general, it's not going to be a Champions League episode anyways. But I am excited for that. A lot of big clashes coming up in the next 2 weeks. And
Yeah, I feel
the
like
sun's out as well too, man.
hey, life's starting to make sense again. You know what I mean? Now that the sun's out, everything is starting to make sense. But it's getting to that time of the season where it's actually interesting around Europe. Maybe not so much the Premier League,
I was gonna say the Premier
which
League
I've seen you be speaking about all week. Maybe not so much the Premier League, but around Europe, I feel like it's
heating up.
It's now starting to heat up in Serie A. It's heating up in La Liga, and also the Champions League. There's some amazing fixtures. So this is the time. If you're a content creator, lock in. Tell the girls stay at home. Tell no links, no dates. Content, bro. Content.
Think like an influencer.
Think like a creator, literally. So, but you know what I've been seeing right all week is I've been seeing people. Some people are saying the game is gone. You know, you're like in the boat where it's like this is a bad Premier League season. You know, some people are telling you it's a great Premier League season. I'm seeing people comparing and comparisons. This is good. This is bad. This is so. There's so much talk about the state of the game at the moment, and I don't want it to be such a episode where we're saying everything is terrible and blah blah blah. But I want to know, what are the things that you love, or maybe not love, but you really like or appreciate about this era, and what are the things that you dislike? We'll start with the like. What do you like?
We're gonna sound like Stephen A.
Yeah.
This era is so weak compared to the 80s with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, the bad boy Piston. What do I like about the modern era? I like a few things. I was thinking about this, and I really tried not to be a doomer here, but there's a few things I like about the modern era. First and foremost, by
the way, just to cut you off, it could be anything. It could be it's about the football world,
of course,
not just the pitch or anything you like about the way football. Because now football is not only just on the pitch. You include the media. Of course. Include the whole football world.
Yeah. The first thing, because there's a few, but I'll start with the first thing I like about modern football. I think the base technical level has increased. What do I mean by that? I don't think you can kind of make it in the game today without at least having a certain level of technical security in your game. And I do think maybe when I started growing up watching football, I think you could maybe, again, we're talking about the very, very bottom level. I think at one point in the game, there was still like a few guys who were sneaking through the cracks that, let's be real, they get to the Premier League and they're drowning, man. I think you look at the Premier League today, and even the worst player, I think in terms of how technically sound they are, I think they're at a certain level. And I think that's because of how the game has evolved, and it's led to a pretty good base level, especially in the Premier League, which is what we watch a lot.
So how did Højlund make it to Man United?
Huh?
How did Højlund make it to Man United?
See, there's always a few there's always a few sneakers, man. There's always a few chancers, man. But for the most part, 99%.
Nah, you know what? That's a good one.
Yeah.
I do think that is the case. I think even when you look at like academy level, they're starting to try and focus on that more so than like being just a good, honest, hard worker.
Yeah, you used to have some brutes in the Prem. Let's be real.
To be the case, but I think that's the whole discussion.
Who's the biggest brute you can remember in the Prem, by the way, in terms of just like I don't want to say no talent, but like technically just shaky, but like
It's
they made it purely in the Prem off heart.
Ooh, that's a good question.
You got to think of the lower clubs, surely.
Yeah. I mean, there was like Kevin Davies. He was
Kevin
pretty-
Davies is the first
he's
person
a-
you can think
And
of.
you're
That's,
in
I
terms
feel
of
like
a,
that's
in terms of a
disrespectful.
brute.
Nah, the
He
Kevin
was
Davies.
a brute. He was a fouling brute.
Kevin Davies
I'm
is
not saying
disrespectful,
I'm not
bro.
saying he was a rubbish football player.
No,
but
but that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking like, wow, you have like, you are just like,
yeah. Wow.
That's like Kevin Davies is his first
When
name.
I think about brutes, he's up there. But maybe not in the context that you're saying. Wow. Who is just basically just talking about who is just a straight hatchet man?
Yeah, I'm thinking like,
Cattermole?
huh?
Cattermole?
Lee Cattermole.
Cattermole wouldn't survive in this era.
Yeah, you'd find it tough.
Yeah.
You'd find it tough.
But to be fair, that might be a bit harsh on him as well.
Lee Cattermole.
Yeah.
I think he did well for his time, man.
Yeah, he
I was a
did.
fan of Lee Cattermole. Good honest pro.
Yeah.
I'm thinking those lower teams. Wigan. Wigan
Yeah.
always played though. That's the thing. Wigan were always trying to play.
It's hard, man,
That's-
because again, like a lot of the brutes were playing for some of them were playing good teams. You look at like it was before our era, but when I see like videos of him like Steve Bold and that, you know what I mean? Like Steve Bold.
Oh, is it Vinny Jones?
Like it is Vinny Jones. You know, it's Vinny Jones.
Is it Vinny Jones?
It's Vinny Jones. It's Vinny Jones.
That dude was just on the pitch to hurt
Yeah,
people.
no,
bro.
it's Vinny Jones, definitely. But you know, I bet Vinny Jones is one of them people that if you were to go like to a park with him and do some like strikes, I bet he'll be like ridiculous.
Yeah,
bro. You know
of
them
course,
type
of course. We're
people.
talking like relative to
Yeah,
the Prem.
yeah.
Okay, but anyways, yeah, that's my
Anyway.
first thing I like about the Prem. I like
Yeah.
how I think the technical level at the very base has kind of all risen up at once.
What would I say? I think
Nah, for you, this is gonna be difficult.
yeah, very. You know what I was thinking about, and it's actually not actually much to do with the pitch. It's more to do with the access in terms of the ability to go out and get knowledge if you want to, if you're actually seeking it. I think now that has led to a lack of mystique in the game, 100%, because
True.
we don't go into like, for example, World Cups anymore, not knowing who's this guy that just lit up the world. We relatively
know
knew
about
that
everyone.
person.
Yeah.
You've heard of that name. There's somebody that's done a tweet like about the guy and he will retweet it and be like, hey, I already knew this.
Yeah.
So you always kind of, that's the case. But I do like that, like, if I see Man United are linked with Zion Suzuki, bro, like I can go and see videos of him. I can go and get acts. I can go and there's scout reports. There's breakdowns of his weaknesses, of his strengths. I do think that's a good aspect in terms of it. Kind of, I think that is more for the people that are kind of nerdy for the game. You know what I mean? You've got that kind of love for knowledge of the game. So I do like that. And I also like, again, it comes down to kind of accessibility as well. But I do like that if I didn't manage to watch Barcelona on the weekend, I can go on Twitter and I can see a 3-minute comp of Lamine Yamal. It's all actions.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Do you know what I mean? Whereas growing up, it didn't have that, bro. If you missed it, you're seeing highlights that they have completely doctored. Like it could be, you'll see a 22-minute highlight and 22 minutes, Messi's on the ball. Next highlight you see is the 57th minute. What happened between the 22nd minute and the 57th minute? You have no idea. So I do like that level of accessibility. But again, I think
it gets abused to a point where like there's too much football. I think that there's too much football, and I think it also leads to bad discourse at times too. Because now I feel like players aren't allowed bad games. Players aren't allowed to have an off day or whatever because everything is microanalyzed.
But I'm not talking about like the fail comps. The fail comps for me are a bit corny.
But you're saying accessibility. Accessibility leads to good and bad because if it wasn't as accessible, there wouldn't be fail comps to begin with. I'm not even just talking about fail comps. Like you're kind of saying like the mystique around players is gone, and that's a good thing as well, I think. But it's also like we don't even allow players to kind of have like the benefit of the doubt, give them a bit of grace. It's like you can't have a bad game anymore.
Yeah.
Like let's say 15, 20 years ago, if Zidane plays bad, for example, you might not even know about it.
Yeah.
Like you just see the scores. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, if Zidane plays today, he plays a bad game.
Yeah.
The whole timeline is saying, oh, no GA for Zidane.
Yeah.
6.2 match rating.
Yeah.
Look at his all actions. How many
Yeah.
times he lost the ball. I think that's kind
It
of
has
like,
ruined. It does make discourse more difficult. for
yeah,
sure,
and maybe it stops us from appreciating players as well too,
Yeah.
man, because we live through their good and bad times, and we focus equally on both of them.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's funny because like top players are gonna have bad games. Obviously, now
Every
if
player
you're
has a
gonna
bad
have
game, yeah.
if you're gonna have feel like you're having more bad games than good games, then you're not a top player, or you've got to be doing something else completely extraordinary for that to kind of subside, I guess. But I do think that's what I'm saying. I think there's a good side and bad side. It's really about how you use it. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like, it's like weed. You know what I mean? Some people smoke it, you know what I mean, and they're balanced. Some people get addicted to it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's about what side you want to sit on. You know what I mean?
Weed was the first.
Yeah. What else can I say for that? What else is something that's there, but if you overdo it, it becomes a problem?
I guess any drug.
Yeah, any drug. But I'm not going to go and say cocaine. I'm like
fentanyl.
Yeah. But so yeah, I think that's something that I like. What else do I like? What else do you like? Is there anything else that you like?
Well, that I like. First of all, I think we both agree on this one. I really like the young players. I like this new crop of players that are coming up. I think they play with a lot of bravery. They play with innovation. I love how free they kind of play. And I think that's with young players in general, right? They always seem to have a bit of like freedom and naivety to their game compared to a more seasoned player. But I do think this previous generation that we're kind of just getting out, I wasn't a huge fan of the way they approach the game. But I like this new crop. I'm looking at the Vertzes, the Bellinghams, the Musialas, the Yamals. I like the Pedris. I really like the way they approach the game, the way they're trying to go at guys, and the way they kind of want to invent and stuff like that. So this new crop, and I know you're obviously into your youth football and stuff like that, so you can probably echo the sentiment as well too. But I think they're a massive positive about the game. Like when I think about my favorite players right now, I feel like 90% of them are young players.
Yeah. No, I agree. The thing is that youth football, when I was growing up, youth football was never really a big focus to me, except on the people that were my age. So when they were my age, I was like, oh, because you want to make it. You're playing football and you're thinking, wow, like this guy from down the road is playing for this team, he's playing for Arsenal, he's playing for Liverpool, he's playing for these type of teams. So there, I had like a fixation on my age group.
Who was the guys when you were younger that you were looking at? Can you remember any names?
When I was younger, you look at like Raheem Sterling.
So you were looking at Sterling your age, like...
Bro, one of my best friends was playing with Raheem Sterling. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So, bro, let me tell you a story, right? Raheem Sterling, he played against my school at the time. And this is so funny, right? I was getting ready to play. Yeah, I was getting ready to play. Boom, boom, boom. Putting my socks on, blah, blah, blah. I'm now putting my socks on. I don't have shin pads. I'm thinking, cool. So what you used to do is you used to fold your regular socks to make it look like it's your shin pads. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Sure.
So I'm doing that. But then I'm like, But then I go to one of our players on the bench and I was like, yo, let me just wear your shin pads. And then when somebody comes, everyone's going to swap shin pads type stuff. He was like, cool. So now I put his shin pads on. But when he's walking out, our teacher was like, oh, where's your shin pads? To that guy.
Did he write you out?
And he was just like, kind of gave me that look. And he was one of them guys that he's such a good guy. He was a church boy, whatever. So I was just like, oh, nah, I've got his shin pads. So then my teacher was like, where's your shin pads? That's how he used to speak. Like, he used to speak like Gordon Ramsay. Where's your shin pads? Yeah. And I was like, nah, I ain't got them today. Like, I forgot them. He was like, go home. That's what he said. He was like, go home. And I was like, sir, please, come on. Like, let me go home. And I was just like,
he talk like that?
Bro, I don't know why he talks like that, right? So I was like, cool. I put my clothes on. Who they play in? Copeland, Raheem Sterling's school. So I'm just watching from the sidelines. This guy started doing seal dribbles. Raheem Sterling was dribbling with the ball in his head, bro.
Fuck off. Say swear.
I was like, thank you, Lord, I'm not playing. Yo. Guy scored a hat trick. He scored a hat trick and was dribbling with the ball in his head like this. People were trying to kick him. Bro, I'm being dead. Bro, I'm being dead serious. Scored a hat trick, smoked my school. I was on the bench laughing my head off at all of them. Like, you might not get smoked. Yeah. In my head, I was thinking...
but you know what? This is
mad. But
this
yeah,
is crazy.
like,
no, but this is when you clock, bro.
Yeah.
How much different, like, Premier League level talents are to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Like, because, bro, we look at Sterling nowadays, and we see him trying to dribble and stuff like that, and we actually clown him.
Yeah.
And this dude's out here doing seal dribbles when he's a teenager.
I'm telling you, bro. Like, it's like levels. People talk about, oh, this guy ain't got technical security. Bro, let them play with you. They're gonna
look
like...
saying Lee Cattermall. Lee Cattermall like crashing on us in 5 seconds.
What? He would school, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that was always just like a a very, very funny story that I always remember. But then like it was like that group, and obviously like you look at Ravel Morrison's group, Lingard, Pogba. That was kind of Chalobah, Nathaniel Chalobah, and that kind of crop of people. Anyway, is the ones that I used to be like, oh, like this is sick. Oxlade-Chamberlain, all these people. But then now it went a long period where I just didn't care. Like after a while, I just was like, okay, cool, don't care. But now I don't know what it is. I feel like now that I'm older, and in a ridiculous way, we take in the stress of our football teams. It's like your team loses, you're like, oh, blah, blah. I like going to youth games or watching youth games because I have no tribalism.
Yeah.
There's no agendas.
You're not a Man United under 18 supporter.
Yeah, there's no agendas. There's no tribalism. There's no stats that I have to care about. All I need to watch is just talents trying to make it in the game. And I love that kind of carefree. I feel like it's the most carefree, pure football you can get now because let's be honest, like no matter what team you are, because we're content creators as well, you might have said a comment about a player.
Yeah.
I said Mbappe is not the most amazing technical player I've seen. Some people don't like it. So sometimes when you're watching a game and he does something, you're like, well, see, I knew I was right. Yeah, you don't have that when you're
confirmation bias.
Or you know, no matter who you're watching, no matter what team, Scott McTominay scores. As much as you're buzzing, sometimes you're like, damn, I can't be bothered for the discourse that's about to happen. So you don't want him to score. And it's like, what's going on?
So I guess that kind of leads to something you don't like then. You don't like the tribalistic discourse around football.
100%. But that youth football is just so pure that I just enjoy it. For example, when I went to watch Man United Arsenal, I want Man United to win. Of course, I was celebrating when Man United score. But if Arsenal won, it would just be like, well, good luck to all these players. You know what I mean? I'm going to go and watch Watford under 18s and Man City under 18s for the semi-final. I don't care about either of them. I just want to see some ballers. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of like that aspect. Do you know where I'm coming from? Like, so that's why I like the youth football. But yes, going to what you're saying, the tribalism side of things, I do think that's just, man, like...
it makes talking about football really tiring, bro.
And even when you're neutral, and then, like, for example, I did a video on my YouTube just the other day, and obviously as banter, you know, I'm saying, damn, Liverpool are going to sing 20 times if they want to now, but congratulations to Liverpool, you know, amazing. You're just getting people saying, like, look at him speaking through grit teeth, or some people be like, as a United fan, you shouldn't be giving them props. I'm like, this is dead, bro. Like, you can't even speak about a team positively. Even if you do,
you can't win.
Just, bro, honestly, sometimes I hate that level.
I feel the same way, bro. Obviously, I made that video recently talking about how I felt the Premier League this season wasn't a great product this year. And I meant that from a completely objective point of view. It's not because Liverpool are winning the league that I think that. I genuinely... It doesn't bother me. I thought Liverpool last year were going to win the league. I genuinely thought that for the longest time. And I remember me and you came on a pod, and I said, I think this is one of the best seasons I've ever watched. It's not about who wins the league or not. I just think from top to bottom, from a competitive point of view, it's not the best I've seen. And I got Liverpool fans saying, typical. Every year when we win it, Man United fans come out and say it's a shit league. I'm like, I'm not looking at this from I'm not looking at this from a Man United point of view whatsoever. I remember leagues where we won it, and I thought the league was pretty poor overall. But the minute you kind of like paint yourself with a club, some people can't view you outside of that club, or they can't take anything you say seriously because you support that club. And for me, it's just like, I get rivalries exist, but at what point does it start to hurt actual conversation? And I think in 2025, especially on social media, it's massively harmed it.
Yeah, it's why, honestly, like, I don't talk about, I only do it on my content now, and I've said that to you as well, that like, I don't share my opinion on football anymore online unless it's video content like this. My podcast, Twitch, whatever, but I won't tweeting it. For me, it's just the discourse has just gone too.
Do you think though, like, because I remember football. Like, I think I've said this for the longest though, but like, do you actually think it's just because we're older now, or do you think discourse on Twitter now has just reached the point where it's like, it's just completely like you can't save it?
I think it's a bit of both. I think one, because you're older, look, we have aspirations in our life as well. You know what I mean? Not saying people don't have aspirations, but we have aspirations in this game. So at the same time, you know, you have a little bit more of a responsibility that if you are going to talk about something, then even if you're being humorous about it, just don't make it dangerous, which is what we know, right? I look back at my tweets when I was tweeting 2016 or something, when I first got on there and I had no aspirations to do this type of stuff.
Yeah,
I was talking madness. Do you know what I mean? I had to delete all them tweets. You know what I'm saying? I was
yeah.
talking madness. So maybe it is, again, I was younger them times. So maybe it is an age thing. But at the same time, I do think that it's also, as you mentioned, the tribal side. Like, you say it perfectly. Football feels like it's become a political party.
Bro, for real.
It's a political campaign. It's my guy versus your guy. And that could stem to anything. Like, it could be just who you like. Like, people, for example, you know, I like Ethan Waneri. So I'll be talking about when people will come and bring their youth player. And it's like, oh, I'm not here to have a rivalry with Mikey Moore, bro. I'm not here to have a rivalry with Echeverry or whatever. I'm just like this.
And it just,
like,
the thing for me that makes it kind of scary is like, how big these fan bases are, and then they kind of just like jump onto one thing, and it's like, oh, us against the world.
Yeah,
and it's
I don't like that.
This is weird for me, man.
Yeah.
Like, I remember last year with the Saka world class thing that Rio Ferdinand was saying, and me, I didn't really have a horse in either race, but I was just like, why do people care so much what Rio has to say? And he's like, well, it's damaging to Saka's perception, and I'm like, yeah, but now you guys are looking at it like Saka's your presidential party, and like Foden is the other presidential party, and the only way to defend your guy is to attack the other. And I'm like, no, this is now, it's not even, we're not even talking about their footballing ability now.
Yeah,
bro.
I do think that stemmed from Messi and Ronaldo. I think Messi and Ronaldo
1000%.
started that. But the thing is, that should be reserved at least for the great of
No,
the
but
great
you're
of the great.
1000%.
But they
When I think about
started
it,
that political pick a side. And listen, I picked side from when I was in year 7. You know what I mean? Like, I picked my side, so it just stemmed from.
But you know what it is? I feel like
that made football. You know, football is a team game.
Yeah.
They kind of made football as individual as possible.
They introduced stand culture, bro.
Yeah,
Let's be real. They
yeah,
introduced stand culture, and like, but the thing is, maybe it's because we're older now. But like, I feel like there is a difference though between just like playground banter, like, and not even playground banter, like me and you, like like just trolling it within each other, and then going online and like tweeting it to thousands of people, and it's like hundreds of thousands of retweets and so many people targeting one guy. That's where
I have no issue if somebody has a strong opinion on a player.
Oh, of course, it's not about that.
Have a strong opinion on a player. Like, anybody can have a strong opinion on a player. You could not feed a player. I could not feed a player. I could love a player. You could love a player. That's perfectly fine. But I do think it kind of gets a little bit muddy where sometimes I'm just like, you guys, we're taking away from the appreciation of the game. And that's the thing. Everything that I like to talk about most of the time is the appreciation of the game. Yes, I have a bias towards what I like in the game, and I'll always push that the most, but it still stems from appreciation. Do you get where I'm coming from? And I think sometimes, like, I would never personally, like, because I appreciate something, I wouldn't now like start posting like a fail comp of something that I don't like. Do you get where I'm coming from? Like,
do you think ultimately what this comes down to? Because I really believe this. I feel like people don't love football as much as they pretend to, or like as much as they would claim to. I think they love
the clamor around it.
Yeah, they love the clamor around it more than the actual game.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it comes down to, because you're talking about appreciation, and I hear that. But I don't think a lot of people look at it that way. I think for them, it's more so about like the tribal. They love the tribalism. They love the banter. They love but when it actually comes down to actually loving the game in its purest form, I don't know if as many people love that as much as they love everything around it.
I mean, you listen to the way, like, you know, people speak. As I said, I was saying to you guys off air, I was getting called a nonce for watching the youth games. I was getting called a nonce for watching the FA Youth Cup. Do you know what I mean? There's grown men there. Everyone's there is grown. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, that, like, that
Twitter memes, like, they called me a nonce. They left.
Like, that is like weird for me. And then, like, you look at, for example, like when I speak about pure football, and people will just say, well, it's just aesthetics. What are you talking about? Like, do you love football? And I'm not saying just because it's aesthetic, I like the pure, like, do you love the game? Like, why are you putting that down in terms, do you get where I'm coming from? Why are you putting down what everybody aspires to be, bro? Every single footballer would want to be a beautiful watch, no matter what anybody says. Every single footballer would want to be a beautiful watch. Every single footballer wants to have elite technical ability. That's just the way the game is. And then you just see people like put things like that down, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I think there's as I said, you can have your liking to something and you can have your dislike, but I do think that sometimes it's a little bit too much like people want to be on the opposite end. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Well, moving on from that, you know what I mean? The other thing that I would say that I kind of don't like.
I got one thing I like before you go into
Okay.
don't like. I also like, and I think this is like an industry-wide thing, not just in football. I think even in the NBA and all sports, to be honest with you. I like the player empowerment angle of things now. I feel like players now have more of like a platform to kind of like be themselves and like put out their own stuff. If they want to do fashion, if they want to put out music, if they want to, whatever they want to do, if they want to go like, I like the fact that in 2025, they kind of have the freedom and the empowerment to do so. Whereas you know, it's a catch-22 because I like that, but I also don't like how sometimes like they filter themselves to a level, and I understand it's like a fear of the media, but I do feel like that side of things I don't like so much. But the fact that like if someone wants to go do like make their own fashion brand and drop it, they're able to, and there's no or for the most part, there's no backlash. There's no one saying why are they doing this. They have the freedom to do that. If they want to go start their own podcast, they can do that. No one stops that. So I like that throughout all sports, but in football in particular, I like that.
Yeah, I think hopefully it even increases more in football. Do you know what I mean? I listen, speaking from a biased point of view, this is our podcast, so we can say what we want. But bro, I want to be chatting. I want to chat to some of these players. I want to see, you know, I want to pick their brain and stuff. So that's pretty cool as well. I do agree with that. NBA is running with it like crazy, innit? Like
everybody got a podcast.
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I can't lie.
NBA is a little
we don't need that many podcasts.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm seeing like some guys who haven't even like really got their feet wet making pods. I'm
that's
like,
nuts, man.
Come on, man.
We're gonna get like
I mean, I saw like Trey Young got some. I think Lonzo's got one, and
yeah,
all these
like,
guys. I'm not saying Trey Young ain't done nothing in the game, but
I'm hearing the same stories every single week now, bro.
yeah.
Like, you know though, who's so funny, bro? Like the fact that Jeff Teague is like the funniest.
But
Like
it's always them guys. It's always the guys that have been around.
But that's the thing. That's what's so funny to me, right? Like you would naturally think that the best podcasts will be the ones the biggest players.
Nah, never.
But Jeff Teague actually has the best NBA
Never. I'm telling you, it's never those ones. It's the guys that were just around seeing everything.
Who would you want to hear? Oh, so obviously it's from a biased point of view, but the SDS podcast we did with Royston Drenta and Eliero Elia, like the answers and like the stories they told us, bro, are absolutely insane.
Incredible. Like, you know what I like the KG and Paul Pierce podcast.
I like KG though. I can't lie. Paul Pierce is kind of boring to me,
really.
bro.
No, I like
Paul Pierce tries go way too hard to be cool, man.
I like that he's on the chill side because you can't have someone as close to
KG. Of
KG.
course you need a yin
it'll
and
be
yang,
carnage, bro. It'll be
I love Kevin
Yeah.
Garnett, bro. That's the ultimate storyteller, bro.
Yeah, no,
Who would you
honestly.
want to see in football like make a podcast?
Ooh, good question. Ooh.
Yeah, who's your like? Oh, I would love it, and it could be retired.
I
or
mean,
not
I feel
retired.
like right now we're seeing good stuff with like Ola Enya. He's doing really well, you know what I mean, in terms of just being a personality on Snap. So him turning into a pod, I think will be really good. I think he'll have good stories.
That's true.
But I kind of, no disrespect to him, I would want someone that's also played with more legends and stuff so they can have like some real legendary. Remember Jerome Boateng on Rio's pod? He had some
Kevin Prince.
Kevin Prince. He had some elite stuff there.
Oh, that's an amazing interview. That's my favorite. I think that might be my favorite podcast, genuinely ever. The story,
not the Harry Pinero and CultureCams Rudiger Inside Scoop. SGA nominated podcast.
Hey, big up by the way. Big up by the way. Journalistic and shit. Yeah, that one was good as well too.
Yeah.
But Kevin Prince Boateng, I swear that guy was pulling out stories out of his pocket every 5 seconds. You know, that's the dream one. In terms of a guy that has played with that many legends, that many big clubs, and can give you that much insight with that humor, that's the dream.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think you know, I think it's got a personality. I think Memphis.
Yeah,
I really think
but Memphis would. I feel like Memphis would create stories, bro. I can't lie. I feel like Memphis would drag shit.
Yeah, it was me and
me
Messi
and Messi in the cup, man.
Yeah,
like, he actually told me first that he was gonna leave for PSG, and then when it dropped, I was like,
yeah. Messi told me he wished I came to Barcelona earlier. Yeah, he said maybe
he was telling me he thought I could have been in MSM. Man. Yeah. He was talking about MSM. I was like, disconnecting, man.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, Memphis would be a good one. There's a like if Anelka could speak English, going on what he's done. Because I've seen Anelka's pods. I was watching one the other day.
Yeah,
bro, the guy speaks such good stuff. But obviously, I'm transcripting it on captions on YouTube.
His documentary was elite.
But, his documentary is so good. That'll be a very good one. Who I like that question. You know,
Yeah,
who
you
would
know
you
what it
want
is?
to
Like,
see
it'd
make
have to be
a
like
football podcast?
for us. We're gonna lean more towards like the English speaking ones, right?
Yeah.
Like the European. Like I'd love to hear Eto's stories and stuff like that, but he obviously wouldn't be in like an English language for you.
It's a really good question. You know, he's not made one, but I like his personality. I think he probably will make one day. I like Asamoah Gyan. He still talks now, but the only thing is right now he's super on the whole like Ghana football needs to improve and stuff like that. So he's just on this kind of like political thing right now. But
what about Nasri?
Nasri.
Like Nasri would be funny.
Yeah.
Nasri's played with big players.
Nasri seems more like a guest.
Yeah.
Nasri seems more like a guest. I don't think Nasri.
He don't got enough experiences all around.
He'll start talking about that doctor link up or whatever he did.
But Nasri's played with Mancini, he's played with Balotelli. He would
Balotelli,
leaving Arsenal.
Imagine Balotelli as doing a podcast.
Yeah, Balotelli would be jokes.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, that'd be jokes.
I mean, he features on pods, but he doesn't have his own. I guess Evra would be really good.
Evra's a guest, man.
Maybe
But don't you notice all these NBA players? They always have their one white guy. I was like, who is this guy?
Who are you? Yes. No, bro, just like the eye test, bro. You got CultureCams on the random white guy, bro.
Am I the industry white guy, bro?
Yo, we need to tick some boxes. You know what I mean? We need to make sure all quotas are filled. But nah,
I'm dead.
Yeah, that's a good topic.
You ever
man.
seen that video from what's it? What are those guys called, man? The one who do the LeBron memes, where it's like
RDC.
RDC. You ever seen the RDC one where it's like when you find out you're the side character, the side character in anime or whatever, like you're not one of the main guys in the fight.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a side character. Am I a side character?
That's jokes. But yeah, lastly, let's move back to it. So lastly, I would say the thing that I don't like as well is I do think, you know, in this era, right, like, how do I explain it? Like, maybe it's a little bit about what we were saying before, but I think like comparison to the of all eras, I've said it before, and I do get dragged into it as well. I'm not gonna act like I'm not guilty, but I'm product of this era too. Like, I'm part of it. I'm here. I'm doing content. Yeah. I'm doing content around it. But like, I do think the whole like stuff about GOAT debates and stuff, it happens too frequently. Do you get where I'm coming from? I think everything people say now is the best we've ever seen. It's the best ever. It's the best, which is fine. Like, if it's genuinely how you feel, okay, then fair enough. You get where I'm coming from. But I do think like it's so hard. Who was I watching the other day? I can't remember who I was watching, and they were talking about like Beckham, Giggs, Mane, Salah, and then they were comparing it. And one person was like, you can't compare Beckham and Giggs to Salah and Mane, for example, because the game, on paper, they are wide players. But the game, football now is not football then, and vice versa. I'm not saying it only for this era to that era to this era. You have to go by generations.
Yeah.
And I think it was Chandler Parsons or something like
Chandler Parsons.
Parsons in America. Yeah. He was talking about the whole like LeBron Jordan debate. And he's like, guys, like, it's a different sport. Yeah. LeBron plays a different sport to what Jordan played. You can't compare them. Like, it's just impossible. And I actually think you have to think of that in this era as well. Guys were playing 4-4-2s.
Yeah,
the strikers are different. The way we want, there's no strikers in this, particularly like that in this era. It's the wide forwards that have to score. The number 6 has to be a playmaker now. Back then, Pirlo was like a diamond in the dirt. Everyone else was Ambrosinis and Gattusos and Roy Keane. Not saying they can't play. None of these guys can't play, but that they defend, get about. I think the way the game has changed so much. All these stuff where it comes to like GOAT debates and stuff, I think those are really like, it feels like pointless chatter.
But you know what it is, right? I watched this amazing video a few months ago from this YouTuber called Jimmy High Roller.
Yeah, go.
And honestly, I recommend everyone watch this video because he talks about comparing greatness across eras in basketball and how futile it really is. Mm-hmm. And he says it like this, right? The game is always evolving. And I think it's dangerous, and I think even in football, this is why I started off by saying I think the technical level now is better. I think it's dangerous to say that what we're watching now isn't of a better quality than what we were watching 10 years ago, and what we were watching 10 years ago was as a game, not in terms of players, how the game is played. It's not better quality than 10 years before that, because just like life, things evolve. Things are meant to get better. Evolution is meant to progress. So the game now is of an overall quality better than it was 10 years ago, and so on and so forth. However, true greatness comes in the fact that players intersect those eras. So, for example, Sergio Ramos played in this era and intersected in the era before that. So he played against Ronaldinho and he's playing against Lionel Messi. Guess what? Both of them gave him buckets, bro. You look at guys that he compared it in basketball, like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson are in a different era to MJ, but MJ played against them. And Kobe and Shaq are in a different era to MJ, but they also played against each other. And you would never have said, oh, these guys are on completely different levels. We all recognize them as great. And true greatness is the ability to play in any era. It's the ability for your skill set to be translatable in every single era you play in. So, going back to your point, of course, we're watching a different game to what we were watching 10 years ago. And what's ironic about this is what we always say about skill set and quality. True quality is what's transferable amongst different eras. Talking about stats and how they're playing and stuff like that, that might change compared to what era you're playing. But is your skill set and your quality and your greatness so much so that you're able to at least still be great in every era you play in? That's true greatness.
That's true. I fully agree with that. That's true greatness, because you look at Giggs. He played in the 90s. It's the start before the... You know, when the league said we're calling it the Prem, he was there. He went and played all the way into 2014 or 2013. So you think about how many eras he played in and was fine.
How much the game changed in that period.
And was a Manchester United starter. And did it and evolved. But then people don't look at it like now. They just look at it like, oh, look at his numbers. He must have just been a sideman. He's rubbish or whatever. But you got to think about how much the game has changed from there. Bro, just look how much the game changed from 1999 to 2005, let alone from 92 to 2013. You get where I'm coming from? So you look at Salah's the guy that's killing the game at the moment in the world. He came to the Premier League, let's just say 2017, right? 2017. Now he's going to be playing against the whole new generation of things. We're talking about the game is moving away from the Pep era. Salah's killing it right now. Do you get where I'm coming from? So now he's transcending thingy. And obviously we know he's a true great of the league. So that's just exactly the examples of what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? Like this is, but I think like when it comes to those kind of debates in terms of like this, I just do think people don't factor in the median has changed so much. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
You're talking about the true greatness, which we get, but we're still not acknowledging what it took to be great in that era is different to be great in this era, or vice versa. I think that's like what it took for Maradona to be great in his era is completely different to what it took for Messi to be great in his era. Messi might have acknowledged, well, in this era, you need to score 50. Maradona in his era might have just been like, I just need to run this game. I just need to run this game and help my teammates score. That's going to make me the best in the world. Do you get where I'm coming from? But we kind of just say, oh, well, nah, he's got this many goals, way more than Maradona, so that means he's better. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that aspect of the game is becoming too much like, too spoken on, should I say. I think we're kind of just throwing greatness around a little bit too much. That's what I think it is. Like, everything now is the best, the best. And I'm like...
that's true. But I think that's also a generational thing, bro. I think every era says they're the best. I do think every single... Like, my dad, bro, the way he talks about his generation, it's like no one can ever chat to him. Messi won the World Cup recently. He's still saying Maradona is the best player he's ever seen. So I do think what we grew up on will always, like, whether it's right or wrong, by the way, you might have a point. What you watched very well could have been the best. I find it very hard to believe I'll ever see anything better than Lionel Messi. But that's an exception, I feel. Like, I would also say everything I was watching at the time was like, wow, it just felt better than it did now. But onto that, the thing of stats, I think that for me is like the thing that I dislike the most about the game. And it's not the stats, right? Because look, you look at every great player ever, they had great stats. I'm not trying to say now that like, oh, stats are killing football. Like if goals and assists are pointless. I'm not trying to say that whatsoever.
It's important.
Right? But I do feel like my least favorite thing about football these days, honestly, it's my least favorite thing. I don't think performances matter anymore in terms of how people watch or how people interpret the game. I don't think performances matter anymore. And I think it's so damning that like I know the majority of people are not watching Real Madrid in La Liga, or at least these Premier League fans are not watching Real Madrid in La Liga every single week. But then they'll go on SofaScore or something like that, or they'll just go on Twitter. They'll see how many goals or assists Vinny has in the last like 3 months, and it's like, wow, this was your Ballon d'Or contender a few months ago, or like last year, for example. Oh, Vinicius Jr. only had 22 GA.
Less GA than Mbeumo.
Mateta had more GA. So how can you say he deserves the Ballon d'Or? Like, oh, Gyökeres has more GA than Vinny. How can you say Vinny? Like, when did GA all of a sudden become the metric for how great you really are?
Yeah.
When did we stop going away from actually watching games and saying, oh, he played an amazing game and he didn't score or assist? Like, I feel like I feel like it's so hard now for someone to say someone had a great game without immediately jumping to their stats. Like, it's very possible that we watch a game, see how good someone was, have no idea what their numbers are because they didn't score or assist, and still say, wow, he ran that game. I don't think it's possible anymore.
I also think, like with that, it's like what you were saying. I think I remember we were talking, Mike. I think winning is the most important thing, as we always say. And I think now when we talk about this is compared, you can like it, you don't like it, whatever. But now when we talk about things that we don't value those players that do turn up in the big moments, the biggest moments, the ones that you do expect in a Champions League final, in a Champions League semi, they're going to be present, they're going to be there. You look at some of the things that you remember in the history of football, they're the biggest moments, the biggest times. That's how you rate players. That's how Zidane, his World Cup 98 was good. It was okay. He was suspended in the beginning and whatever was going on with him. But in the final, he rose above anyone else. Do you get where I'm coming from? And that's what you remember. That's greatness, bro. Not otherwise. Why isn't everyone unanimously saying Kane is right up there with the greats? Because his numbers can sit with anybody.
Yeah.
But it's because he hasn't got them moments. He hasn't got them legendary things. Like, he's got legendary numbers, but he hasn't got them legendary performances, them legendary moments. And I think that's what I value the most. That's why I'm perfectly happy with Vinny winning, which I thought he should have won it, because when it was time to stand up, you're the elite level of football in this right now. We're the elite level. Let's see who's the real elite. And Vinny was the one that was stepping up.
That's why I keep going back to Kaká in 2007, right? And this is before a lot of people's era, because I know the age of most of the people who watch us, they maybe didn't watch Kaká. But Kaká didn't have the best numbers that year. Kaká didn't win the league in Serie A. But
He's top scorer, though, to be fair.
He did get champion. That's true. Fair enough if you want to go off numbers that way. But in terms of GA over a whole calendar year, bro, I don't think he was in the top 30. Like, he wasn't. But in the biggest moments, he won that Champions League off rising in the biggest he won that Ballon d'Or off rising in the biggest moments. You think of Kaká 2007, you think of Man United, you think of Liverpool in the final, you think of Bayern. And you know what it is, right? I think it truly comes down, bro, to, again, the fact that I said I don't think people truly love the game as much as they claim to. But also, I think numbers, like counting numbers like that, are the easiest way to understand a game you didn't watch. Like, if you don't watch a game, how can I get involved in the conversation if I didn't watch the game? Well, let me see what their numbers are at the end of the game. I didn't watch the video this game, but I seen that he lost the ball this many times, didn't score, didn't assist. All of a sudden now I can talk about something that I didn't watch. So now we go back to older players. Why do we compare numbers? Because I didn't watch this player, but surely the way to understand them is how many goals did they score. That can tell me about what kind of player they were.
The thing is, like, this isn't, by the way, anything on goal scorers, because elite goal scorers are elite goal scorers, and you need them.
Of course.
You need them
like
in
I
the
said,
game.
I'm not trying to discredit scoring goals.
Goals
win games. I get that.
You need them in the game. Every great team is going to have an elite goal scorer.
But think about this, Cam. A game of football, on average, has how many goals a game?
I don't know.
2, 3 maybe.
Yeah.
So at maximum, you can have 3 different goal scorers in that game. Sometimes someone will score 2. Hell, someone might score all 3 goals in the game. Does that mean now that we can't talk about any other player during that 90-minute game that didn't score or assist a goal? If that's the case, bro, we're not going to be talking about many players. There's not that many great players if that's the case.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We always say performances fade as well. But like, as I said, you can be an elite goal scoring is a great thing. And I want an elite goal scorer. We've always had elite goal scorers. My thing is, right, elite goal scoring is great. But I still think what I want to value the most is those ones that are in the big moments, are in those performances in the legendary game, like them legendary performance. like, and it doesn't have to necessarily be an attacker. This sounds like an attacking bias episode, but you look at, for example, look at Casemiro v Liverpool in the 2018 final. No, is it 18? No, 22, 21 before he joined us.
Yeah, 22.
22.
Yeah, ran the game. Yeah,
What a
defensive
performance,
masterclass,
bro. Like, that's what I'm going to remember when I'm having debates about Casemiro's legacy. You see his Champions League final. You see that is what I want to, like, I think that it's just getting is going away from the game. I think people value random stuff these days. But anyway, that's about it. Anyway,
I could keep going, man.
I could keep
VAR,
going.
absolutely hate it.
Let me not even start with VAR. Let me not even start.
You know what I do like? Goal line technology. That's one thing.
that's
You know,
good.
we don't give enough credit to the rules that do
That is
work
a
out.
great
Goal line technology changed
yeah.
lives, bro.
Yeah, that's like an unequivocal fact.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
it's happening.
We needed that time ago.
Yeah, like as soon as you look at the ref,
Yeah.
goal. You don't say, "Oh fuck it, what? No, it's not a goal." You're just like, "Oh shit, it's a goal." You know what I mean? Oh, I went over the line. Fair enough. So that's good. I remember Roy Carroll getting lobbed by Pedro Mendes. Oh
I
my
mean, Lampard,
God.
I can remember that one. But
Yes.
it's just funny in general how back in the I remember when
Jeff
goal line
Hurst.
technology first. Oh, Jeff Hurst, what you remember about that one?
Yeah,
6-6.
bro. I was
Were
there.
you watching that one in the stadium though?
Bro, when it crossed the line,
Yeah.
bro, we were going.
But didn't cross the
crazy,
line.
man. I don't know. That's the big debate, isn't it? That's the big debate. I'm telling you, bro. When maybe
Well,
Germany
in the taverns after the game, you guys were debating it over.
I'm telling you, over the news when the newspaper came in yesterday. I mean, the day after, and it was just like,
Did you guys
it
get
cross
that one
the line?
through Owl or did
This one was literally.
Yeah,
No, this one came through. You know, in the bottle.
Ah,
On the boat. On the boat.
when the water is
we pick you
England
up.
win the World Cup.
Yo, shit.
No, the funny thing about goal line technology is when it first came into effect and people were still trying to like the ball bounced on the line.
Yeah.
Rough. He's
Yeah,
like, nah,
yeah.
you got the technology now, man. Allow it. Put your
Allow
hands
it,
down.
bruh.
It's like nowadays when people dive in the ball. You notice diving now don't exist no more.
Good.
Like it happens every blue moon. But people try and dive, and I'm like, you're diving in the VAR era.
It's
Come on, bro.
ridiculous.
Like, you got caught in 4K.
Literally, you can't do no sneak. You know, some people back in the day, you might like punch somebody.
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't do that. There's no point no more. So you're about to get caught. But nah, I think I preferred it without VAR. But hey, I don't know. That's the debate that people always go on about. Oh, is it the VAR or is it the person using it? It's just like, bro.
The end result.
Why they all
whatever it
trash
is,
then, bro? What the hell? Why they all trash a bit? It must be VAR, bro.
The World Cups though, they always turn that shit up though, man. I can't lie.
Yeah. They don't disgrace themselves in front of their mates, bro. You know what I mean? So other sports, but yeah. Anyway, I think like lastly, as I said, I think this is a good discussion. Anyway, there's things that are great. There's things that are not. And yeah, man, like I can't, bro. I saw some other debates that were going on, but I don't even want to go into. It's too much. This person, that person. So this is just what I like in the game, and this is what I don't like. I think that enough for you.
Yeah, I think I got shit off my chest.
Yeah. All right, guys. Make sure you lot like, share, subscribe, turn the notifications on, as I always say, for both myself and also Lyés' channels as well. Big shout out to BR for powering the podcast. Make sure you guys go and check out BR on TikTok, Instagram, and X, all of that good stuff. And yeah, man, this is the eye test. And let us know in the comments what you guys think. What do you like the most about the game now? What don't you like? What do you think maybe can improve? What do you think about what we were saying? And all of that, man. We didn't want to make an episode where it's just like, oh, the Premier League has gotten worse because Liverpool are about to win it. That's what people are pushing out these days.
Apparently, that's what I already did. So.
Oh, there we go. You know what I'm saying? But guys, you know what to do. It's your boy, CultureCams, Lyés Bouzidi, and we are out.
Peace.
Peace.